Someone has written in wondering why it is that we can't sin in heaven. We can't sin in heaven, presumably, but Adam could sin on earth, and why couldn't God have created uh, Adam just like we will be in heaven? In other words, immutably good. Well, the answer is God could have created Adam that way. I don't see any reason why he could not have done so. He chose not to do that for a reason, and that becomes the question. It's something that people frequently raise, and I'm not sure I have a definitive answer, but I have some insight that is basically a standard kind of response. Um, what God uh, intends with a fallen world, I think, is that we are developing certain kinds of virtues here that will be permanent parts of our character um, that could not have been developed apart from having lived in a fallen world. Keep in mind, if God makes something perfectly good, that means that there's no bad in it. It doesn't mean that it's as good as it could be. I mean, goodness is a graduated quality. So some things are better than others, and the some things are better than others not because the lesser things are sinful in some way, but just that they don't have as much goodness. And in fact, I think that we are all going to be immutably good in heaven, but some will have a greater goodness than others. I'm not exactly sure how to put that. But it's kind of like a perfect light bulb at 50 watts and a perfect light bulb at 1,000 watts. You can see the difference. And so, in a sense, there will be no sin for any of us, and I don't think even the possibility of sin in heaven. But that doesn't mean that we are all going to participate in the same amount of goodness. Clearly, God is perfectly good, and He's a lot gooder, if you will, than we will ever be, even though there will be no bad in us. And I think that level of goodness that we attain to in some measure is accomplished um, by the struggles that we have here on earth and how we respond to them. And there are a couple of hints of this in Scripture. In Hebrews 11, it talks about those who were not rescued by faith, but they died by faith, so as to obtain a better resurrection. Paul writes to Timothy that physical exercise profits a little, but godliness, by contrast, is a means of great gain because it holds a promise not only for this life, but for the life to come. So there is a growth that takes place here, and some of the growth that takes place is growth in capabilities or qualities that could not be developed without living in a fallen world. So long suffering would be an example, or bearing up under unjust punishment, or patience. These are the kinds of things that are virtues, but just seem that require a fallen world in order to develop. And when we are in the fallen world and we have the capability of dealing with these issues, then we have the capability of being better human beings than Adam ever could have been if he had never chosen against God and had never, therefore, fallen. So, in a sense, this isn't the greatest of worlds here, but it leads to a world that is going to be better. At least it leads to individuals that will be better and more virtuous and shine brighter, if you will, in terms of personal morality, moral goodness, than Adam ever could have shown had he never sinned. So there's a possible answer. It's something that people have knocked around a bit, and it certainly seems to make sense to me. Ultimately, God knows, though.